What if you could control material flow on a conveyor automatically without writing a single line of PLC code? That's exactly what the item release unit does. My name is Rajveer, founder of Coding Compile, and in this video, I'm going to show you what is a release unit, how it works, and how you can actually use it in an industrial setup with some live demos using some IOs, using some PLC. And you know what's the coolest part? You configure the whole thing from the built-in web server, right from your browser. No special software or tools, just a web interface. How cool is this? So let's get into it. So I have some couple of slides to explain you this release unit, to explain how you can parameterize it, and some live demo. So what exactly is a release unit? Release unit at its core, it's an electromechanical solution for smart material flow. Think of it like a smart gate on a roller conveyor. It physically blocks the bin, it can release the bin, and it can make a material workflow very intelligently. So here is the basic setup. So what you see here, I have two release units connected in series, and you have a block signal here and a release signal here. All right, and this block and release signal can be from your buttons, can be from a PLC, can be from the AGV or any intelligent setup, can be also from a robot, right? So what is happening here? These are connected internally, so they are sharing the power supply. So you connect the power to X1 here, for example, in this diagram, it will share the power supply to the next release unit, all right? So you just have to provide a block signal here to block the box going forward and a release signal here which will release the first release unit, not this one, all right? So I'm going to explain you how it works, how you can configure these signals. Basically, it is waiting for some signals to block or to release the trays on this gravity conveyor. Super easy, super flexible, without any hectic PLC code, without any jams, no chaos, and it runs on 24-volt DC, which means it plugs straight into any standard industrial control cabinet. No exotic power supplies required. So before I touch any wires, I would love to show you some applications of that. So I was actually last month I was in a messe, in a fair, where I actually get to see it live. So I just make tiny shots from there. And I would like to explain you some applications. So the first one is AGV docking station. This is my favorite one. Your AGV rolls up to the conveyor, it docks, and the release unit hands off the bin seamlessly. Okay, no PLC required. The AGV itself can send the release signal directly. This is a massive time saver for anyone running autonomous mobile robots in their warehouse. The second one is robotic pick integration. So if you've got a cobot arm or the robotic arm doing some bin picking, the release unit holds the position of the tray precisely until the robot is finished. When the robot is finished, it can release the tray. When it is not finished, it can block the tray. So the robot works cleanly every time, making it a very flexible flow. Next one is mobile flow rack system, in which you have gravity-fed bin sequencing on wheeled frame. So basically it's used for sequencing, right? So the gravity-fed bin rolls down a wheeled frame and the release unit controls exactly when each bin moves forward, okay? It is like more flexible and scalable way if you have different rack systems connected together. The last one is if you have multi-level control workstations, if you have conveyors on different levels. So you have release unit on both levels, built for high throughput picking system in which operator doesn't have to reach, wait, or guess. The right bin arrives at the right time. So these are typical applications of release unit. There perhaps will be more application, but these are just the key application that you can use. So now let's jump to the parameterized configuration. This is my favorite part because that's where it shines compared to the other automation solutions. So this release unit has a built-in web server. What does it mean? It means by pressing a button, which you can see here for 2 seconds, it opens up a Wi-Fi connection, which you can connect to this release unit directly with your computer, with your mobile phone or your tablet, whatever. And then you have a web server interface where you can parameterize this release unit. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to press this button for 2 seconds, and then we're going to connect to this release unit. So give me 2 seconds. So when I press it for 2 seconds, you can notice that it starts blinking, which means it's ready for the connection. So now let's go out and check if we have a connection to this release unit. So I go and check my Wi-Fi. You can see that it's already there. It's already connected. But anyways, you can connect here, and then you will have an option to enter the password. The password is written on the back side of this unit. Just enter the password, connect, and you will have an option, open browser and connect. Alternatively, you can also just, so if I just open here my browser and I can type releaseunit.local, and it will open up the web interface. So it will be open up shortly. So my release unit is already powered up. And now you can see that you can see the application here directly, how you want to use it. So this release unit can be used standalone. It can be used with 2 units or with 3 units. And that you can select here directly. So you can see that I have an option, 2 release units by default. I can click on 1 release unit. I can choose 2 release unit, or I can choose 3 release units. All of this I can do just from here. So if you see, if I click on 1 release unit, you have 1 block signal and 1 release signal. So it shows you the application with the beautiful animations, which you can understand how you want to use it. But don't worry, I will show you a live demo as well with these applications. So with this application, you can see that you have a block signal and a release signal. So when you give a release signal, it will release the box. So by default, this let's say lever is on the top position. And when you give a release signal, the lever goes down. And because of the gravity, the box or the tray will go forward. All right. And if you give a block signal, it will wait for the block signal to be released. Okay, it will wait for the block signal to be false, and then release signal can pass it on. So this is used sometime if you have some extra automation solution which is integrated with your flow, and it needs to have free signal for the tray to move forward. So it can block it and can release it. So this way you can use a block signal. I will show you a live demo as well. So here you can select how you want to use it. So you have automatic mode, and you have a single actuator mode. If I go to single actuator mode, you have to make sure you're using only 1 release unit. So at the moment, on my system, I have 2 release units, okay? So I have to disconnect that release unit to be able to use it in a single actuator mode. In the single actuator mode, you have more control to your release unit. You can control the block signals, release signals, you can read all the feedbacks, and you can work around. So I will show you a small example shortly. So in automatic mode, I have at the moment 1 release unit, I can have 2 release units, and I can have 3 release units. In 2 release units, now you can see that they work together. They're connected in series. Now you have release signal on release unit 2 and block signal on release unit 1, and they both work together. I'll show you how shortly in the video. And then you can also have, so you can see that here right now, it will wait for this to clear, and then it will release this tray. So that's how it works together. You don't have to program that. You just need to work with release signals and block signals. That's it. It works itself, integrated. And then you can also extend that to 3 units. So it's a daisy chain connection. The power is being shared. The data is being shared internally. You just work on 2 signals. How easy it is, okay? And then you can also, if you go down, you can select where you want release signal, where you want block signal. So right now you can see that release signal is here, block signal is here. You can swap that as well based on your application, all right? I will keep it as default. So you can select various modes here, and I will keep it to 2 release units because this is my present setup on my table. And if I go to in and outputs, here you can see you can also simulate the values. Just if you want to do some troubleshooting, if you want to connect that to your PLC and see how the signal is flowing in and out, you can simulate that. If you simulate that, you need to synchronize. Now you see here a small pop-up on the bottom. This is very interesting because right now I have 2 release units. And if I select simulation here, it is going to synchronize in my all release unit directly without connecting to the other Wi-Fi of the release unit. It can synchronize it internally. How cool is this? So if I click on that and click on yes, now it will synchronize the simulation in the all release unit. So here you can see that I have simulate input values. I can make it high. So digital input 1 is high. Now if I go to my settings, you can see that my DIN signal input 1 is high because I simulated that. And I can use that in my debugging. If I do the other one, I can monitor that here. This one is high now, all right? So this is just a small feature if you want to simulate your values. And similarly, you can also simulate your outputs. So you can understand how the signal is flowing in and out, all right? This is just a simulation path. So let's synchronize that because I deactivated the simulation. Great, and here you can also see what kind of signals the release unit is giving you out. So you have a signal when the release unit has an error, very useful because then you can understand what's happening on your system. If release unit is not working, you can blink an LED, put a message on your HMI, whatever you feel like. And then you have some warning signals. You can also give a signal when it is off or when it is on, when it is ready or when it is busy. If the bar is moving, I call it lever, but it can be also a bar. If it's moving, you can also have a signal. And you have a signal when the bar is on the top position or the upper position, it's reached. There is an internal sensor which will give you a signal about that. And it will also give you a signal when the lower end is reached, so similarly that. And if the object is detected, now every release unit has a sensor in the front, you can see on my screen. That's the sensor which detects the object, and that's where you can get a signal. So you can make your process much more smooth. So you can have a signal feedback, and similarly you can select which output gives what. So my parameterized is the way that digital output will be error, output 2 will be lower end position reached, output 3 will be upper end position reached, output 4 will be object detected. And notice that carefully, here you have X1, X1, and X2 and X2. I will show you that shortly because the release unit had 2 ports, X1 and X2. So both ports has digital inputs and outputs. That's where you can select on this web interface. So everything is on the web interface. No programming cables, no programming software. You can directly use the web interface from your phone, from your tablet, from your laptop, and directly configure your devices. And finally, you have a device tab here. Here you can see the information about your device, your product name, product ID, serial number, firmware, manufacturer, and you can see the device status if it is connected by VLAN. Or you can also see the temperature, total operating hours, and some random information. And you can see some events about your devices. So you can click on Update to get all the events from your device. If you have some events that you are interested to know what happened in the last 1 hour, you can see that here. And then you can see a device, Find Me. So if you have multiple devices on your gravity conveyors and you want to know which one you are connected to, click on Find Me, and then it will blink white LED on my release unit. So it will tell you, okay, this is the release unit I'm talking to. Calibration, interesting part. If you notice that your bar is not properly calibrated, just click on this calibration and it will start calibrating. And you can notice that how the release unit is reacting now. It is making the bar up, down, it's trying to calibrate. And finally, when it is done, you will see it will be in its default position. So just in case, if you want to calibrate your release unit, you can do that directly from the web interface. And then you can also restart your device, reset the configuration, restore the factory settings. All these things you can do on your web interface. Last but not the least, you can also change the Wi-Fi ID, you can change the password, and you can put the VLAN timeout, so VLAN will automatically shut down after this number of minutes. And finally, you can also upload the firmware if you have a new one in the market. All right, so this was about the web interface. Super easy, super flexible, easy to know what you want to do, did some animations. One of my favorite part of release units. So let's go back to the presentation and see some live demos. All right, so before going to the live demos, I want to show you the ports because this is very important when you are integrating this release unit with your PLC or with some I/O units. So here you can see you have X1, which is over here, and X2, which is over here. So X1 is able to get some inputs and give you some outputs. So here you can see you have 1 input on pin number 4 and 2 outputs from pin number 2 and pin number 5. And it has 24-volt input. So this is the port where you give the power. And this power you can share with other devices. I'll show you how. So the power is given here, and you can give 1 input here, and you can get 2 outputs. And this input and outputs I showed you in the web interface. You can select which input gets the block signal or release signals, and which output you can get out of this port. Similarly, you have another port. There you have another input at pin number 4. And then you have 2 more outputs at pin number 2 and pin number 5. And then you have 24-volt and 0-volt output. So this is giving you power out. That's how you can connect this to another unit that will have power in. Okay, so these are the different I/O configuration. You can download the manual from the website and you can have more information about that. All right, so let's jump to the first demo in which I'm just using the 1 release unit. So remember from the web interface, I was able to select 1 release unit in the automatic mode. That's what I'm using here. So if I just want to show you one more time, this is the mode I'm using here, 1 release unit, automatic mode. So let's start this video again. So let's see what is happening here. So I have 1 release unit with X1, which is my block signal, and X2 is I'm sending my release signal. So the block signal is given by this toggle switch, and release signal is given by this push button. So what I do is I'm just controlling this release unit. So in this case, I put the box, and you can see that the default position of the bar is up, and I play it. And the box comes here. I have a sensor which detects the box, and now it's ready to be released. So when I click on play, right now you can see that if I press the release button, the bar will go down, the box will flow because of the gravity. And automatically when the box leaves that release unit, the bar will come up. You don't have to program that. It comes automatically. And now I enable the block signal. So now you'll see what happens. When I enable the block signal, I pause the box again, and now you will notice I pressed the release button, but it will not release because the block signal is activated. I have to reset that, and now the box will be released. Super easy if you're just using one release unit. Now, like I said before, this block signal and release signal can be from a PLC, can be from an AGV, can be from any other external source. That's what I show in the next live demo, in which I have block signal. I'm not using block signal here, but I'm using a release signal from the PLC. So now in this case, I connected my PLC instead of my I/O buttons. In the PLC I'm using is a Vago PLC. I have some digital IOs there. I just wired up all together. And in this case, I'm using code assist, so I write a small piece of code. And here we can see that I have some inputs if there is no error, and if upper end position reached, so if it's only at the top position, and if the object is detected, and if the control releases through. So this control release is my internal variable, which I want to use to control it. All right. So let's see what happens here. It's actually basically the same exercise. So here I put the box. I'm just working on one release unit at the moment, and automatically it goes down because the release signal is coming from the PLC based on the position and based on the sensor signal, and of course based on the control release. Super easy. We bring the box, automatically goes it down because it knows the box is there, and then when the box release, or when it leaves, this you can see that over here, this goes up. Super easy. Now let's make it interesting. Let's make two release units. In this case, I'm using two release units working in the automatic mode. All right, now what happens here? I again have a release button, and I have a toggle button for blocking the signal. So this is my front view, and this is my back view. So let's start this video. So I bring the box, and you can notice that this release unit is automatically down because they're working together. It knows that my first release unit has no box. How does it know? Because they're talking. They're talking because X2 is connected to X1. They're sharing the signal. So it's automatically at the down position. It let the box flow to the first release unit because it's automatically at the up position. And you can see that it will stop here. And now you can see that the other release unit goes up. You can see from the back side because it knows that my front release unit is busy. So let's not pass more boxes. That's how it makes it interesting. It makes the buffer. And now when I click on play, I can put another box. You can see that I put another box, and it will wait. It will wait for the release signal, which is over here. So now I press the release signal, and now this goes down, passes the box, and then now the back one knows that the front one is free. It will go down. You can see that here, goes down, and let the box flow. And this will go up. So they're working together. Super easy, right? Let's see one more time. I press the release button, it lets the box flows, and you can see now it's the default position. This goes down. It is waiting for the box to come. Now I enable the block signal, like I was showing you in the last live example. I let the box goes, it will stop here, and this release unit goes up. Another box comes, and now they wait for block signal to be released. I can't release it because the block signal is activated. I deactivate it, now I can release it. Super easy, right? No complex programming, just working with two signals. And now, like I was showing you in the last video, you can also give this block signal, release signal directly from the PLC. Let's see that in the next demo. And now you can see that first I just work with the release signal. I don't give the block signal. I work with two release unit, automatic mode, and I just give the release signal here. So here, let's watch one more time. This is another video. I'm not using a button. I'm just using release signal directly from the PLC. So you can see that it will work automatically. It will pass the box, wait for other box to come, block the box, release the box. Same thing which was happening in the last demo, but instead of pressing the button, I have release signal coming from the PLC here. So this is connected to the PLC. Now to make it more interesting, I can have PLC connected to both of the release units. Now I can give a block signal, I can give a release signal directly from the PLC. I'm using a PLC here, but you can imagine these are just a signal. These are just 24 volts. You can give it from AGB, you can give it from, I don't know, some sensors, or you can give it from some any control system that you have on your workspace. So here, let's start one more time. Here you have the same operation going on, but I have, if you see on the last line, I have a block signal, which I'm actually just manually turning it on. So here you can see it's happening the same way like before. But halfway through the video, I will go to my computer, actuate this block signal to show you how the block signal works. And if you see here, the block signal is going to X1 and release signal is going to X2. So this is working like before. And now what I will do is let it go through, and I will put the box and activate the block signal. So I go to my computer, I activate the block signal. You will see that the block signal will get true here now. I hope you can see I'm not covering the part of the video. So now its block signal is true. Now I'm sending the box, and it will wait for the block signal to be false. You can see that the release signal is already true here, but the block signal overrides that. Block signal has high priority. It should be false. Now I make it false, and now release unit will release the box. All right. This is how these two things work together. So there you have it. The ETEM release unit from zero to fully PLC integrated in one video. If you want to go deeper, datasheets, CAD models, go to the ETEM website and you can find all the information. And if you like this video, please subscribe, please like, please share, because this will help other engineers to find this content which might be useful for them. And feel free to subscribe because more tutorials are coming, more exclusive product reviews are coming in the automation and the tech areas. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.